Ça donne des rayons, regarde. On voit ça. Tu vois le truc. Yes. Tu vois ça? Il y a plus de nuages. Alors ça donne des rayons bizarres. Regarde le truc, c'est comme si c'était violet de toute façon. Et les gens commencent à vous sourire. Tu vois, non? Regarde les cris là, mais c'est dit quand tu regardes, je vais venir regarder après, attends. Je vais en direct. Ah, la nuit, c'est pas bon. Ah, si j'avais des verres là. Je vais mettre en rester là. Quand tu vas là.
A light in the sky of a crucified Christ has illuminated the face of a small village. Amateur video from Moldova shows a mysterious image hovering over a house. Local priests are calling the bright image a sign from God. Others say it's a sign that conditions will improve in the small country.
Alors, évidemment, le but de ces représentations scéniques est de faire disparaître aux yeux du monde de faire apparaître aux yeux du monde un nouveau Christ, le nouveau Messie qui s'appellerait Maitreya, dont parlent d'ailleurs les sutras bouddhistes.
Mais attends, mais ce qui est fou, c'est que bon, on est dans le cadre d'une conspiration, donc en général les conspirations, c'est quand même assez secret, assez flou. Alors les gens qui y croient, les conspirationnistes, ont des éléments épars, mais là c'est quand même très très précis, on sait à peu près tout.
On sait comment ça va se passer. Vous allez connaître la fin de l'humanité telle qu'on la connaît aujourd'hui, à travers cette conspiration. Alors le projet Blue Beam, donc c'est devenu du Messie, prétendra être l'accomplissement des anciennes prophéties que tout le monde attend depuis plus de 2000 ans. Il se fera sur fond de cinémascope céleste, traduisant en simultané un message d'amour dans toutes les langues et dialectes de la planète. Alors, cette phase consiste à tirer violemment de certaines illusions les populations, de leur faire perdre pied, et de leur offrir la seule vraie religion qui réconcilie, soulage et apaise tout le monde. Alors, il s'agirait d'une religion unitaire, avec toutes les disciplines et tous les courants de pensée réunis.
You people out there have been ignoring the UFO phenomenon for too long. It has all the earmarks of the most successful, most sophisticated mind control operation in the history of the world, and you are ignoring it. What better way to implement a plan to bring about a one-world government than to create the possibility in the minds of the people of the world that we are being threatened from some other species, from some other planet, and do it in a way that if anybody questions it, or challenged it, or wants to talk about it publicly, that they are ridiculed.
And the ultimate goal is to make the Earth look very small.
En fin de compte, le vrai mystère de Roswell est peut-être le fait que tant de gens aient voulu croire à quelque chose d'extraordinaire.
Il y a des gens qui rejettent complètement la possibilité que d'autres civilisations viennent sur Terre parce que c'est trop loin. Moi je dis, pas si vite.
Le professeur Michio Kaku, un des physiciens théoriciens les plus éminents de notre planète, enseigne à l'université de la ville de New York.
La théorie d'Einstein sur l'espace-temps est une structure. Les gens font une erreur fondamentale quand ils pensent à une intelligence extraterrestre. Ils supposent qu'ils sont comme nous, avec juste quelques centaines d'années d'avance. Ouvrez votre esprit. Ouvrez votre conscience à la possibilité qu'ils aient 1 million d'années d'avance.
Une civilisation capable de maîtriser la puissance des étoiles pourrait fort bien avoir trouvé un raccourci à travers l'espace et le temps.
Einstein a dit qu'on ne pouvait pas aller plus vite que la lumière. Mais il y a une lacune dans son raisonnement. Voilà un trou de verre. À l'école, on a appris que la ligne droite est le plus court chemin entre deux points. En réalité, ce n'est pas vrai. Si vous pliez cette feuille de papier et vous y faites un trou, vous allez comprendre que le trou de verre est le plus court chemin entre deux points. Seules les civilisations qui ont des millions d'années d'avance sur la nôtre et qui maîtrisent la puissance de milliards de systèmes stellaires ont la capacité d'ouvrir peut-être des passages entre l'espace et le temps et de voyager à travers des portails, parcourant ainsi des distances énormes en un clin d'œil.
Peut-être est-ce le moyen pour qu'un véhicule extraterrestre franchisse l'immensité de l'espace.
On ne peut pas rejeter la possibilité que certaines observations d'OVNI correspondent en réalité à des objets créés par une civilisation supérieure, qui se trouverait très loin dans l'espace et qui aurait peut-être des millions d'années d'avance sur le plan technologique. On ne peut pas écarter cette hypothèse.
They just seem to appear out of nowhere, and they always want to have very secret meetings. And they're very good at hiding from the people. Have you ever wondered why? When these entities have been under investigation, when we watch them come in and out of our world, we've watched them literally open a portal in the sky and go into it, and then come out of the same portal. This spiral portal has also been shown that it can be created in satanic occults. There are people who practice magic that we would probably know now as Kabbalah, but had other names before that, where they can open up the same portals. And not open up the same portals, but they can call up entities that look exactly like aliens. But yet, they don't call them aliens. They call them evil spirits, and they say that Christians would call them demons.
Question, can you tell us about UFOs?
My sister, before my wife came around, used to be leader of the state of Ohio, the high priestess there, of the whole state. And her little pastime was calling up, supposedly filling the sky with UFOs and watching everybody's excitement. And some of the most outstanding sightings were in the early 70s in Ohio. And she used to laugh about it because she'd be standing in a circle out in the field somewhere calling up demons. And that's all they were angels of light playing games in the sky. Remember, a demon, get the little spooky picture. There are a fallen angel, an unclean spirit. They can assume any form or go into anything, but they can assume forms including spacemen or solid objects like flying saucers or so on. That's why when they appear on the radar scope and a jet gets up there, they vanish right in front of the palace eye because they're nothing but a spirit. Because they're nothing but a spirit. Because they're nothing but a spirit.
I've already mentioned our old friend, I'll put his ugly puss up here again, Aleister Crowley. Now, this guy has his handprint on everything evil it seems that it happened in this century. In fact, he even took the credit for creating Adolf Hitler, believe it or not. Of course, the guy obviously had a little bit of an ego problem. In fact, he once made the statement that the highest spiritual experience any woman, he didn't think much of women, could ever experience was having sex with Aleister Crowley. So, the guy obviously, you know, had a lot of self-esteem. I mean, our psychologists today would really love him. Anyway, he began having communications with extraterrestrial beings. That was his word, with this EWAS back in 1904. The next thing that happened was that Crowley had a contact with another extraterrestrial that identified itself as Lam. That was the little guy's name. He was short, and he let Crowley draw a picture of him. And oddly enough, this is very much what the picture looked like. This is the classical modern UFO. This is from a very popular book on alien abductions by a horror writer named Whitley Strieber, except this story is supposedly true, as it says there. He claims that he is an alien abductee. Anyhow, it's interesting that, like, you know, 40 years before we knew such aliens existed, that Aleister Crowley was having conversations with them and drawing pictures of them. This man developed a whole system of magic which has come to be called Trans-Yugothian magic. I mentioned that before, and a lot of stuff was written about it from the context of a contemporary of Crowley's who was a pretty well-known horror writer. Nowadays, he wasn't well-known back then, named Howard Phillips Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft for short. And Lovecraft wrote all of these books, like the Dunwich Horror, The Shadow Out of Time, The Color Out of Space, The Shadow over Innsmouth. And these were very different kind of horror novels. And they're not like Stephen King, because these were written in a more gentle time. And they were very genteel horror novels. It sounds like a contradiction in terms. But they were horror novels with a science fiction twist. They were about aliens from outer space that came here that were incredibly malignant, incredibly powerful. And their appearance was such that if a man would even look at one for an instant, it would drive him hopelessly insane forever. And these were called the Great Old Ones. And these beings could be accessed through forbidden books like the Necronomicon. A lot of people thought the Necronomicon was fictional. It isn't. In fact, today you can buy a book in any Walden bookstore that has about half the Necronomicon in it. And it's a very, very dangerous book. A lot of people think Lovecraft just made this stuff up. But there's a lot of evidence that his grandfather was involved in Egyptian Freemasonry. And so he had access to this. But the interesting thing is, many occult writers that are experts on Crowley and his philosophies and teachings have noted that there's some exact correspondences between these fictitious supposed monsters and Crowley's real gods. And the important thing I want you to get from this little mini discussion is that these are aliens that are worshipped as gods. These are aliens that are supposedly so ancient that they were old when Jehovah was in knee pants. That's the word of one occult writer. And so these are incredibly powerful, incredibly ancient gods that come here. One of them is slumbering in the Pacific Ocean. His name is Cthulhu. And interestingly enough, one of the books, and this will really tickle you, I think, one of his most famous books was called The Shadow over Innsmouth. And it was about how a little New England city on the coast of the Atlantic had frog-like beings coming out of the ocean and having sex with mortal women in Masonic lodges in the town and producing batrachian offspring, frog-like offspring, that would be amphibious, intelligent, humanoid life forms. Kind of strange, huh? Another one of his books, The Dunwich Horror, involved a ritual in which a human woman was forced in a ritual to have sex with